Have you ever walked into a business negotiation thinking one side has to lose so the other can win? What if I told you this is not professional negotiation works? And what if the real skill isn't winning the negotiation, it is expanding the pie so both sides profit more? Hi, this is Ali. This channel helps you navigate high-stake business negotiation, master business analysis, and develop business strategic plans. Today, I'm breaking down a business negotiation between a buyer at retailer and a private label pet food manufacturer. You will see exactly how to structure a true win-win negotiation, where lower margins actually leads to higher profits, and both parties walk away stronger than they came in. This is the mindset professionals use in business negotiation. Let's dive in. Here's how this video is structured. First, we'll watch the complete dialogue from start to finish. This gives you the full context and lets you see how the negotiation unfolds naturally. Next, we will dive into the breakdown. We will go line by line through the conversation to understand what each person is really trying to achieve, the intention behind the words, the tactics being used, and the strategic decision being made at each critical moment. Finally, we will watch the entire dialogue again, but this time with financial numbers and illustration on screen. This helps you see the actual dollar impact of each move and makes the stakes crystal clear. By the end of this video, you'll understand not just what happened in the negotiation, but why it happened and how the numbers work out for both parties. Let's get started. Let's say it is a fictional Zoom call. On one end is Sarah, a buyer for Maple Retailer, a national grocery chain over 400 stores across Canada. She designs which products get shelf space, where are they placed, and how they are distributed across more than 400 stores. On the other end is David, an account manager at Global Pet Food Co., a US manufacturer producing private label cat food. He manages retailer relationships and negotiates pricing, volume commitments, and contract terms. The situation: Black Friday is coming. Sarah wants to run a front-page flyer feature for cat food as a traffic driver. She plans to price it at $19.99 CAD to compete with rivals. The problem: at that price, she loses too much margin. She needs David to reduce his FOB cost. One of them caves, or do they both win? Let's find out. Here are some details for this negotiation. This deal takes place across the US-Canada border, so currency matters. We are using an exchange rate of 1.37 Canadian dollars per US dollar. The product ships duty-free under USMCA, the trade agreement between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. And freight: it costs about 120 CAD per unit to ship the product from the US factory to Canadian stores. Simple economics, but these three numbers shape everything Sarah and David negotiate. Let's see how. So, let's watch the complete dialogue from start to finish.
David, let's talk Black Friday. I want the 3-flavor mixed dry cat food on the front page of the flyer. The traffic driver price is $19.99 Canadian dollars. Currently, I'm paying you $9.50 USD FOB. If I retail at $19.99 Canadian dollars, my margin falls below 30% after I add duty and freight. I need to be at 30% to justify the inventory risk. I need a net cost of $9 USD for this promo volume.
Sarah, that's a steep drop. You know, chicken and fish protein costs are up 5% YTD. At $9 USD, I'm barely covering my overhead. We usually provide a 5% marketing accrual for national brands, but this is private label. The pricing is already stripped down.
I understand, but look at the volume. On regular turns, I buy 13,000 units a season. If we hit this $19.99 price point, I'm forecasting 22,000 units for next season. I'm not asking for a marketing check. I'm asking you to pass the manufacturing efficiency of a 22K run back to me in the first cost. If we stay at $9.50,
I have to cut the order to 13K and move it to page 10.
Okay, 22,000 units help my factory utilization, but $9 is too low. What if we meet in the middle? I can do $9.25 USD for the promo volume only. That's a 25-cent USD reduction per unit. That's a $5,500 investment on my side.
$9.25 improves the margin, but with 22,000 units, I'm carrying significant inventory risk. At this price point, my margin doesn't have enough cushion if there's any volume miss or external cost spike. Can you throw in the freight to the port, or we split the markdown? If I accept $9.25, I need you to commit to a 3% over and above volume rebate if we sell through all 22K units.
Deal. $9.25 USD first cost for the 22K units, plus a 3% retrospective rebate if you clear the inventory by Jan 1st. That protects me if you cut the order later.
Agreed. Send the revised quote for the promo PO today.
So here is a 9x9 analysis of the intentions and tactics. Sarah's open with a strategic power move. She doesn't ask for a discount. She anchors the negotiation instead. Watch her tactic. First, she sets the scene. Black Friday, front page, 1999 retail. Then she shifts the narrative from manufacturer cost to retailer margin risks. She said, at $19.99, my margin drops below 30%. Unacceptable. Then the anchor, I need $9 USD cost. Why does she do this? Every number David hears from now on compares to the $9. When David counters with $9.25, it feels like a win for him, better than the anchor. She also backs it up with math. 30% margin threshold isn't random, it is justified. She's also signaling inventory risk limits how low I can go. This is my walkaway point, makes it harder for David to push further. Here's the takeaway. First mover anchors the deal. David now negotiates up from $9, not down from $9.50. David's first move is defensive. He doesn't accept Sarah's anchor. He contests it with data. David opens with there's a steep drop, meaning I heard your $9, but it is aggressive. Then he provides cost-based justification. Chicken and fish prices are up 5%. At $9, I'm barely covering overhead. That isn't random campaigning. It's a data-backed defense. But here's the strategic move. He signals prior sacrifices. We usually provide 5% marketing accrual for national brands, but this is private label. He's saying I've already given margin elsewhere. Don't ask for more without acknowledging what I've already surrendered. Then the boundary. Pricing is already stripped down. It means I have a floor and you're touching it. There's no more room. David signals real limits. The takeaway lesson is defend with data, not defensiveness. I can move, but only so far. Sarah's second move is brilliant. She doesn't argue about cost. She reframes the problem using volume. Here's her reframe. You can't afford it per unit, but you can afford it across 22,000 units. She is shifting David's mindset from transactional level thinking to factory level economics. She also signals she understands his constraints by rejecting marketing checks, showing sophistication, and a 22,000 unit one creates efficiency a 30,000 unit one doesn't have. Lower per unit overhead, better machine utilization, higher throughput. She is asking David to capture manufacturing efficiency and pass it through to her price. But then she adds the soft threats, the best alternative. She says, if we stay at 950, I drop volume to 13,000 and move from front page to page 10. No visibility, no volume. The worst outcome for David. So the takeaway is Sarah reframes losing margin into scaling factory efficiency. Volume leverage combines with a soft threat makes resistance costly. David's second move is the heart of this negotiation. He doesn't reject Sarah's anchor. He splits the difference and quantifies his sacrifices. When David says, okay, 22,000 units helps factory utilization, he's reframing the negotiation. He now sees volume as his win, not the price as his loss. This psychologically signals, I value your volume commitment. Then he proposed $9.25, the psychological midpoint between $9 and $9.50. Why does it work? Because I split the difference feels inherently fair. Sarah can easily reject it without appearing unreasonable. But David's genius move comes next. He labels his concession 25 cents per unit equals $5,500 out of his pocket. By quantifying his sacrifices, he activates reciprocity. Sarah now feels obligated to give something back. Then he adds, for the promo volume only, signaling this is temporary, not his new standard price. He's signaling a flaw. I'm moving towards you, but I have limits. So here's the takeaway. Quantify sacrifices to trigger reciprocity. Label conditions to protect your flaw. Sarah's third move shows flexibility, but she is still in control. David lands at $9.25, but Sarah signals it's insufficient. Her margin doesn't have enough cushion for any volume missed or external weeks. Now, watch the genius. She doesn't reject him. Instead, she offers three creative paths forward. Freight subsidy, markdown split, or $9.25 with conditional rebate. Why three options? Because she is putting David in control. Pick whichever works for you. But notice the hidden strategy. All three paths ties to a performance condition. The 3% rebate activates only if Sarah actually sells 22,000 units by January 1st. This is not charity, it creates accountability. David's rebate exposure depends entirely on measurable results. So the takeaway is Sarah transformed a no into a framework for yes. She is flexible on how, but firm on what works. David's final move shows smart deal making. He accepts, but he protects himself. David could say deal and stop. Instead, he does something smarter. He restates the exact terms. $9.25 FOB, 22,000 units, and 3% rebate if inventory clears by January 1st. Why? That's a contingency cost. That restatement prevents future dispute. No finger pointing later. And the rebate condition is key. It is not simply $9.25 forever. Instead, it means I will accept the cost reduction only if you demonstrate that you actually sold the committed volume. This prevents the classic bait and switch scenario, where Sarah promised 22,000 units to secure the discount, but later claims, actually, we only order 15,000. David ties his concession directly to Sarah's performance. So here's the takeaway. A deal should be finalized using condition, not just price. Both parties now have skin in the game. Sarah's final move is masterful. She doesn't ask for permission. She assumes the deal is done. Watch the intention shift. After David agrees to $9.25 plus a 3% rebate, Sarah's moved the conversation from should we do this to when do we implement this. She said, agree, send the revised code for the promo PO today. One directive, two sentences. She is not negotiating anymore, she is executing. The today creates timeline urgency, signaling this deal must move now, not next week. This accomplished two psychological wins. First, it prevents David from reconsidering or adding new conditions. Second, it shifts momentum from negotiation into execution. Once David commits verbally, his brains want to stay consistent with that commitment. By directing action immediately, Sarah locks him into that consistency. Hesitation becomes harder than moving forward. The takeaway is directives close deals, questions don't. Overall, most people think Sarah and David compromised, that both gave up something and both lost a little. In fact, it's a true win-win, not a compromise. Here's why. Compromise splits a fixed price. This still expands the pie. Volume growth from 13,000 to 22,000 units create over $10,000 in new value through factory efficiency that didn't exist before. This is not splitting, it's creating. Also, it's a priority trade-off. Sarah cared most about volume and visibility. David cared most about total profit. Each got their priority, not the same thing. That's the genius. Third, both accepted lower per unit margins, but made more total profit through scale. If it was a traditional compromise, both would have lost. Fourth, they negotiate price, volume, rebate, and timeline together, multiple levels, not one. That is integrative bargaining. Finally, using soft threats, creative options, and performance incentive can build trust for the next deal. So this is a true win-win, expanding the pie and trading priorities, but not compromising, splitting the pain. Sarah and David both won, but they still left significant value on the table. Sarah mentioned freight costs once, but didn't push. When David redirects the conversation, he could have absorbed half of the freight costs. That's meaningful saving for Sarah. She also accepts fake rebate terms, such as cleared by January 1st. But what if she achieved strong sell-through without reaching 100% clearance? In that case, the rebate is now at weeks. Sarah could have also negotiated longer payment terms, extending from the standard 30 days to 60 or even 90 days on a large order like this. That would have effectively provided free working capital for several weeks, improving her cash flow without costing David much. For David, he offered flat rebates, but could have tiered them, higher volume, higher rebate, to motivate Sarah to exceed the forecast. He could have also used volume-based pricing, with lower unit costs at higher tiers. This encouraged Sarah to sell more, while David captured scale efficiencies. Additionally, with the multi-year commitment, Sarah could switch supplier next quarter. So there is plenty of room remaining for negotiation. Overall, it is a good enough deal, but not optimized. Now, let's watch the full dialogue again, this time with financial numbers illustrated.
David, let's talk Black Friday. I want the 3-flavor mixed dry cat food on the front page of the flyer. The traffic driver price is $19.99 Canadian dollars. Currently, I'm paying you $9.50 USD FOB. If I retail at $19.99 Canadian dollars, my margin falls below 30% after I add duty and freight. I need to be at 30% to justify the inventory risk. I need a net cost of $9 USD for this promo volume.
Sarah, that's a steep drop. You know, chicken and fish protein costs are up 5% YTD. At $9 USD, I'm barely covering my overhead. We usually provide a 5% marketing accrual for national brands, but this is private label. The pricing is already stripped down.
I understand, but look at the volume. On regular turns, I buy 13,000 units a season. If we hit this $19.99 price point, I'm forecasting 22,000 units for next season. I'm not asking for a marketing check. I'm asking you to pass the manufacturing efficiency of a 22K run back to me in the first cost. If we stay at $9.50, I have to cut the order to 13K and move it to page 10.
Okay, 22,000 units help my factory utilization, but $9 is too low. What if we meet in the middle? I can do $9.25 USD for the promo volume only. That's a 25-cent USD reduction per unit. That's a $5,500 investment on my side.
$9.25 improves the margin, but with 22,000 units, I'm carrying significant inventory risk. At this price point, my margin doesn't have enough cushion if there's any volume miss or external cost spike. Can you throw in the freight to the port, or we split the markdown? If I accept $9.25, I need you to commit to a 3% over and above volume rebate if we sell through all 22K units.
Deal. $9.25 USD first cost for the 22K units, plus a 3% retrospective rebate if you clear the inventory by Jan 1st. That protects me if you cut the order later.
Agreed. Send the revised quote for the promo PO today.
Alright, I hope you learned something valuable from today's lesson. If you find this helpful, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the future breakdowns of effective business negotiation. please leave a comment below telling me what kind of business negotiation you would like me to decode next. Now, it's time to decode the variable and calculate the win.